What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left side of the map in the blue color, playing as Thor. His name is Kimo. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Oranos. His name is Sirtok. The map is Ghost Lake. And I believe this was a viewer submitted game. So most of the time we see people posting up these games, and most of the time they're quite good. So hopefully this game's going to have some spice to it. And we'll see how it turns out. Ghost Lake's one of those maps which is a little bit interesting at the start. The first place to send this Ulfsark is not actually to the side. You want to send it right through the middle here in search of these goats that are in the center. Normally the goats are in the center, but we are seeing that Kimo is finding some of the outside goats. Instead of contesting the center goats with which the oracles are going to get, just going around the edge of the map and trying to find these ones. You can sometimes bring them back home. You can send them off to the side and then bring them home later when you think your opponent's no longer, oracles are no longer a threat. But he's just going to be searching through. And he is checking the center of the map here, but a little bit late here as Sirtok gets all the goats from the center and sends them home. Now that is the advantage of Atlantean in this matchup on this map, is that if you know where to send your oracles first, you get most of the herdables. And unlike in like Age of Empires 2, where if you find a herdable, you give it back, in Mythology, it's not the case. We're not very friendly over here. I mean, we're friendly, are we? No, we're not friendly. Kimo going to be saving his... I'm out of water. Kimo going to be saving his boar here, moving to his second hunt. I like that, especially against Oranos, where the vast majority of damage that you can do to a Thor player is in the super early game on this forward hunt. So if Kimo can eat the majority of this hunt, move back to these boar, and maybe get watchtowers if he needs to, it's going to be okay. I don't like the gold mine in this situation here. Just on the fact that, like... this gold mine's kind of exposed. It's only a 1 gold mine Ghost Lake, but but you never know if the map is going to be 2 large gold mines or 3 large gold mines. And this Ghost Lake's a 3 large gold mine map, so Kimo gets away with it. But if it's a 2 large gold mine map, holding onto your gold mine until very late, if you can, so you get the extra 6,000 gold from casting the Mythic Age, can basically give you a win in a lot of circumstances, because you get an extra 6,000 gold to mine than your opponent does, and then that means you can delay your trade or whatever you need to and be totally fine, and your opponent's going to be like trying to gold starve you, and then you just go, no, Dwarven gold mine, I'm okay. But we'll see how this is going to go. Kimo's throwing up his temple. We're just chopping wood up here, doing all of the good stuff.
Tilbuin.
Bow of Artemis over here is pretty decent. This relic really should give throwing axemen a reduction in wood and gold. 15% reduction in wood and gold, simply for the fact that Norse doesn't have any archers, and therefore this relic is super undervalued for Norse. Feels unbalanced even. And yeah, there's relics which are better for different gods and stuff, but this one feels like it's a relic that should be good for everyone. Bow of Artemis. And we also have the Dwarven Calipers here. This is negative 20% siege, gold, and wood cost, which is, it's a lot. That's negative 20%. And siege weapons aren't cheap, so big relic there as well for the mid to late game. And we did have Kimo missing these goat, unfortunately. He might come over and grab those later. Houses up, wall segments up, playing nice and defensive. Very nice house placement here from Kimo, sort of protected by the wooden walls and the tower, and then he's just kind of base building. That's what this game is about. That's what the Age of series is about. It's about base building, making your base look the most pretty it possibly can. Am I right? Am I right? No? Okay. We do see the oracles coming in onto this location, so Sirtok going to start whacking away at Kimo. I assume that Kimo could possibly just fight this back with the 7 villagers, and that's what he normally does. And that's why he bunches all the villagers up. And there is a shockwave here, so that's going to be pretty strong as the Oracle's going after Ari Frost Hands. His hands mightily frosty, but he should be able to win this fairly well. Lots of idle villagers while this is all going on, though, so it's a big advantage here. But you don't want to lose the Oracles. So Oracle's just going to be retreating away. Ursa coming in. This Ursa does end up beating that Oracle here before moving over here. Going to be, unfortunately, taken out there by Sirtok. Or fortunately, if you're going for Sirtok here, the Oracle's trying to take down the Valkyrie. But it looks as if Kimo's going to hold this initial pressure from Sirtok. Now, if you guys are buddying Oranos players, the best way to use Valor in this matchup is not with these Oracle heroes. What you want to do is you want to use Valor such that you get 3 Murmillo heroes. So you get a little bit of a delay in it because they're later, but the Murmillo heroes are so much stronger, and you're going to be able to push whatever you want with them because they are bonkers strong. It's much better than Valor on a Terma or 2. So that's the thing. We do see the forest fire being clicked so that the villagers can get back into their base very, very easily here. But I think this forest fire really opens this gold mine up to pressure here. So Sirtok might find that he's got an option to just pressure this location. This tower is not going to be a good help. But check out Sirtok's population. It's 54 population to 41 population. The Terma moving in here looking for a villager kill. The villager making its way to the sentry tower. It does get in there. And another villager under attack. But Kimo manages to fend off that raid here as the raiding cavalry's getting pushed back. Kimo doesn't really want to fight this just yet. Needs a couple more units. Does have a throwing axeman in the back. We've got a separate raiding party over here hitting another location, pushing in, forcing Sirtok out of here. And Sirtok's just going to roam around with his units. So we see this raiding cavalry absolutely doing work here, picking off both the Murmillo and the Terma for free there, basically. There is a Valkyrie here as well, so he could come in and heal those up if he so chooses. Seems to be one of those things that the Thor players don't do a lot of, and it could be really, really big for him. Like any healing civ, you should take advantage of it because it's free extra resources. It's like, why wouldn't you? This Ulfsark here, heal it back up if you have the option, but it looks like the Valkyrie might get sniped here. 24 HP, still trying to get away. Does manage to keep that one alive for the time being. And you can just leave it here and use it kind of as a healing spring if you want. But now Sirtok retreating. We see a second town center coming on the way. I think this is a little bit of a mistake here from Sirtok. On a map like this, with the Thor player having an exposed gold mine here, just going one town center, spamming units in onto this position could be completely winning here. Oh, and if that's not winning, eventually you're going to get to the heroic age first. You're going to have chaos. You can get Satyr as well, and then push in and win on the second gold mine, for example. If you can't quite kill him on this one. And the other thing is that the Kimo's gold mine is going to be expiring around 9 minutes 30 seconds, 10 minutes. You can get full 130 pop here off of 2 town centers with a bunch of Prometheans and barracks and counter barracks, so that may be okay, but it does mean that your army is going to be a lot more heavy on the Terma instead of on the Murmillo because you have to afford those citizen as well. So far, nice micro from Sirtok as Kimo's pushing around the side, pulls back. His throwing axeman very exposed here. If you can micro those medium Terma to snipe the throwing axeman, you win these fights pretty hard, but you do have to micro. You definitely don't want those Terma attacking raiding cavalry or anything like that. So we see the raiding cavalry coming back in, going to be pushing these Terma back. And we see the Murmillo here falling. But Kimo's got a decent amount of units now. He sees the second town center, so he's going to have a decent amount of chance here. Imagine forest fire right now. But the army of Kimo here, really nice positioning there onto the Terma. The Terma is trying to snipe the throwing axemen. The throwing axemen are very well positioned. The raiding cavalry are going to be able to take down those Terma fairly easily here. Problem is no upgrades for Kimo, but it's not going to matter as he does clean up Sirtok's army, and that's the big big problem there with going for that early second town center. Kimo is so vastly in front right now. 55 population for Sirtok to Kimo, who's now 96 population. Huge advantage. Sirtok does have the second town center, so he will get more economy going, but that's a huge swing there for Kimo. As he's going to start trying to push and make something happen. This gold mine may expire. The thing about Atlantean is you can make mistakes and come back into the game, but if the other player plays well and just plays it slow, nice and strong, he should be okay. And we see the second town center coming up for Kimo, nice and slow, nice and strong, exactly what he needs to do in this matchup, and we'll see how that's all gonna go here. More units coming in for Sirtok. 81 population to Kimo is 109. Problem for Kimo here, and this is the big problem with Norse in general, is that he's running out of food and he has to farm. So he's got a couple of goats left, a goat and a half, but he has to farm and he doesn't have any more food here. The berry's a bit risky to go to. 2 town centers. Gonna have to start making gatherers from both of them. He's got a lot of villages on gold. 14 villages on gold. He's going for a raid in here. But Kimo's going to be a ways away from being able to support 2 town centers, plus all of these barracks. He's getting thundering hooves as well here. That's a big food investment considering he has to move into farms. But with 10 villages on wood, needs to check that ox cart. Look at this guy go. Just as I said, he moves it forward. Very, very well played. If you've ever got any downtime, I say this all the time, but if you ever get any downtime as Norse, you just Control G, Control G, Control G, and just check all of your ox carts to make sure they're close to the wood line. But armory now coming up for Kimo. He's got walls coming up over here. Might want to consider maybe some barracks and a longhouse over here as well, just so in case Sirtok can push in there. We just see the units now pushing these raiding cavalry and Valkyrie away. Kimo grabbing... Ooh, did Kimo lose his temple? He must have lost his temple here. He needs to rebuild that one. But getting out a couple of Valkyrie, pretty key here. And the Valkyrie are affected by Thundering Hooves as well. It gives them an extra 37.5 hit points, which is no small amount there. But we do see a nice little snipe here onto the throwing axeman, and Kimo going to be pulling back away from there. So many Promethean are out though for Sirtok right now, and you kind of need Herso to deal with them. I don't see any units being built for Kimo. He's trying to get to the next age. He's got 13 farms up, just about to run out of food and the goats, and he should be able to advance here. But he's just going to be jockeying around, trying to prevent Sirtok from really knowing where the gold situation is. If we check out Sirtok's point of view here for a second, he doesn't know that there's a gold mine here. The scouting from Sirtok, absolutely abysmal here. So there's a gold mine here, there's a gold mine here, and there is a potential gold mine over here. And Sirtok is not checking this at all. So Kimo could be getting away with murder over on that side. Sirtok also knows that there's 3 gold mine Ghost Lake because he sees 3. There could potentially be 4 gold mine Ghost Lake for all he knows, because he has not scouted this map at all. Sometimes all you need to do is just take a random unit and just scout out those black points over on the map. If you feel like you haven't got all the information you need, just take one unit around there, get that information in the mid game or in the kind of the early mid game. But there's the town center up for Kimo. Still not advancing to the next age here. I'm a bit surprised that he went for the armory and then didn't go to the heroic age here. Sirtok, on the other hand, still 2 town centers. He's going through Thea, so he's going to have access to Stymphalian birds, and he's going to have all these Terma to deal with those throwing axemen. It's going to be a tough unit composition there for Kimo to deal with. We've got military barracks coming up here, as well as potential palace coming forward. And we'll see if Kimo is going to be able to hold this or not, as Sirtok making a move forward here and then retreating back. We'll see how this is going to go. Thea coming through for Sirtok here. And then Kimo just making sure that this town center is not coming up. Just going to put a consistent threat on that one there. But I think Sirtok's going to be making the right decision here. Stay 2 town centers and hit a Mythic Age timing here. And it could be enough. That's an aggressive Hesperids tree. An unnecessarily aggressive Hesperids tree here by Sirtok. And if he's worried about frost on this location here, I'm pretty sure you could frost here and still hit everything. The radius on this Hesperus tree is really not that big. We are seeing Sirtok now pushing forward, going to be taking this fight in, but the Raiders coming in onto the back here. The throwing axe doing good damage from afar. The town center targeting down the Stymphalian bird, but it's going to be sitting here for quite some time, trying to micro that one a little bit. He needs to target down those Valkyrie if he wants to win this fight. The Dryads are going to be coming out. There are no heroes in this army for Kimo. Kimo's going to need to start making Herser if he wants to deal with these Dryads that are going to be coming in. We've got another barracks coming through, and while you think Kimo is up 3 town centers to 2 town centers, you have to remember with the Hesperid tree, with Dryads coming out, Sirtok is kind of at 145 and 145 pop if he's full population with 5 Dryads. But right now, Sirtok 113 population to Kimo's 120 population. So it's still very, very close here, but it's looking as if Kimo is going to be able to push through. Does he have the I always forget the Axe of Muspel. He does, so these Stymphalian birds should be able to get taken down fairly easily, but Sirtok with the advantage right now, pushing in, doesn't care too much, having those birds flying above the destroyers, now taking down the town center as Kimo is drastically trying to hold on to this location here. The Arcus firing very, very well from the back, though. Going to be sniping those throwing actions. Exactly what he needs to do. The destroyers, though, need to be targeting down the town center if he wants to continue this push here. Town center needs to think about targeting something not named destroyer, because the pierce armor and the destroyers basically mean that this is kind of like you're fighting in the middle of nowhere, which you would never do. But Kimo still flooding units in onto this position. Has so much wood in the bank right now. Needs to make farms. Take these villagers off of wood here. Spam buildings and just hold on. But he's going to be losing this town center. Nice play from Sirtok. Now, Kimo is completely not lost in this position, right? If he can get to the heroic age, he's completely fine here. He's going to be running out of this gold mine. But if he can get to the heroic age, he can chuck everything onto wood, go mythic age, and potentially get a Ragnarok victory. The farms are set up, so he can trade his way to the mythic age if he needs the gold. So we'll see if that's something that he's going to be going for as the town center does go down here. And there's a temple coming up for Kimo. Still no advance time from Kimo. Sirtok can also now he should not go for the 3rd town center here. He's looking for it. He really shouldn't. He should go for Market and Mythic Age here, going through the Tartarian or going through Hecate, so that he can cast a Tartarian Gate down here or something and then pressure up here. That would be very, very strong. And now Sirtok making a move in, still pushing in onto Kimo's base here. Kimo trying to make good trades here. He's slowly getting pushed back, but he's not out of this game just yet, as Sirtok is finding a way into Kimo's position here. The Arcus getting pushed back. Now to kill off those throwing axemen, doing some nice damage with the army composition we see. The market is up for Sirtok, and Hecate is on the way. So now, instead of these military buildings, instead of everything else, now you need to get this 3rd town center as you're going to the Mythic Age. Very, very important. Thank you so much for the 7 months, Ricky G. Appreciate you, man. Yow, indeed. As Sirtok is pushing forward on this location as well, still not getting that 3rd town center. He went for fortified town centers instead of a 3rd town center. This tower may going to be go down. Nice micro from Kimo. No, he's just kind of just decided to do whatever it wants to do over here. Skadi comes through for Kimo. He's going to be able to frost this and pick off every single one of these units. Incredibly important to get that value out of this, and this is going to give Kimo a little bit of breathing room. But the military barracks on this side here, as Sirtok can start doing some pressure there. Hero Mermillo coming in, going to be able to snipe down this Frost Giant, but not before the Citizen falls here, and still not going for the 3rd town center. What is Sirtok doing? He's got the resources in the bank to get it, but he's just not going for it just yet. The Hecate just about to pop. And I just wonder, what is he spending resources on right now? He's making destroyers, he's making Arcus, he's making Mermillo. His army is all about to fall. So he's not really in a position to win this game. The medium Arcus can mostly retreat away. See another Hesperid tree going up somewhere. I'm not sure where he threw that one. Oh god, he puts them so aggressively. But Dryads now going to start hitting Kimo's gold mine. But like I said, it's not going to matter that much if Kimo can get to the Mythic Age. But the Tartarian gate comes in, and now the Tartarian spawns are going to be able to start hitting the throwing axemen, which are trading incredibly well in this fight. The throwing axemen are going to be retreating away from these Tartarian spawns. That's actually going to force Sirtok to fall away from this. He really should not be fighting his own Tartarian spawns, as the gold mine now getting pushed off here. And Temple going down, this Tartarian gate going to be doing a lot. This market needs to come up for Kimo, who's got the resources to advance. Sell that wood, get to the next age. Kimo's got a lot of civilian units right now. We'll check the civilian unit high out quickly. He's on 78. That's going to be very tough for Sirtok to hold on to. But Sirtok's going after this town center now. The Tartarian spawns being a little bit of a nuisance. Market is up. Balder is on the way. Kimo going to be attempting to keep alive, or keep his dwarves alive for as long as he possibly can. The heavy Arcus do snipe one dwarf there, but this town center will go down, so he's going to have to run those villages quickly. Now the throwing axeman coming around the side, potentially going to be able to prevent this town center from going up. But that's going to be this is going to be a tough one for Kimo to find a victory, even with a really strong Ragnarok, because he doesn't have the units out and he's not producing anything here. There's nothing coming through the armory, and this is literally just rag and hope. So Sirtok's answer to a Ragnarok here, the only real way that Kimo wins, is you throw down 2 or 3 more palaces and you start making fanatics, like right now. And this is just standard against Thor and against Odin for Oranos, is if you get these sorts of positions here where you know that the only way that your opponent can win, just throw palaces down, make fanatics. Stop making anything else. Put lots of villagers onto food, lots of villagers onto gold, and make fanatics. But 101 population for Kimo. He still has the Ragnarok dream here. These villagers over here need to run. He needs them to come back as Rag heroes. Do not want to lose any of these villagers. But more villagers getting sniped here by Sirtok. Very, very nice play. Going to be hurting the Rag before it even starts here. These throwing axemen just running around being a little bit obnoxious, but the town center is up now for Sirtok. He's got stuff literally everywhere. Is there a temple up? There is no temple for Kimo. Kimo, 197 population on this one. He's got dragon scale shields here. So these Rag heroes are going to be very, very strong. Letting the Tartarian spawns target the Arcus down. Sirtok not paying attention to this. And we don't see any of those pallets coming down. We've got more military barracks. Milo Arcus, not a bad idea against the Ragnarok heroes, but definitely, if you can, you've got to be making fanatics here. But now Kimo pushing forward with these Rag heroes. Kimo does have resources in the bank to get another town center, so he can potentially repopulate his economy here if he does enough damage. Lots of idle military here for Kimo. He needs to get those into the game. The town center looks like it's going to be going down, though, as Kimo doesn't deal with the Tartarian gate here. And now Kimo's down to 0 town centers. And this is going to be nothing but Rag remaining. Now, we've got Kimo 172 population. Sirtok 113 population. Only 8 villagers on farms here. Not enough to really make those fanatics. And he's still making destroyers. That's a huge mistake. Do we have masons? We've got masons. We don't have architects, though. We do have fortified town centers. This town center will be going down here. And not only does Kimo lose his town center, but he's going to lose houses. He's going to lose everything. So Kimo was very, very all in, but does manage to prevent this town center from going up for Sirtok. Sirtok does only have this gold mine here. He's got 9 villagers on it. So if Kimo can push through, he could potentially make life very, very tough for Sirtok. 150 population now to Sirtok's 100 population. And Sirtok keeps throwing 1 unit at a time at Kimo. This is not how you defend against Ragnaroks. You gotta move those units back or set them into the military barracks until you're full population and then pop it out, because otherwise they just die too quickly. The town center does fall here for Sirtok as Kimo is pushing through like a madman. Sirtok still in the 100 population, but Kimo now 133 population here. And now Kimo's actually making some dryads, so he's actually going completely all in on this, not saving anything for a town center. Still has a couple more of those heroes of Ragnarok going to be coming over and getting the gold staff here. But the problem with this for Kimo is, does he have enough to push through the main base of Sirtok? Sirtok can trade. Sirtok can trade. It's not bad. Trade food for gold, and you can definitely survive in this game for quite a while. So what Sirtok can do is just get all of those citizens that he's pulling back into his base onto wood, build farms, get yourself food, trade for gold, get fanatics out, and he should be okay here. He really should, because Kimo's only got 122 population left, but without any gold, I'm not sure Sirtok is going to see his avenue here to victory. He's still trading nicely over a bunch of units, but the Rag Hero is going to be coming in, and I don't think that Sirtok realizes, but these are dragon scale shielded Rag Heroes. Imagine a destroyer. These have more pierce armor than a destroyer, so therefore Hero Arcus are not the unit to be building right now at all. We do see that Kimo is going to be cleaning up these military barracks up here, making sure that Sirtok cannot have any access to that one. Pushing in from both sides now as Kimo, well, he has to attack. He can't sit back. So he's pushing in. The Dryad's going to be tanking a lot of that physical damage from those Mamilo, but they do go down here as the Rag Heroes surrounding, and they completely wipe out this Atlantean army. You see those Arcus, they're doing no damage to the Rag Heroes. Kimo's at 100 population, just about to fall below 100 population. He's going to go after this palace here, and then after the town center, the palace is going to fall fairly quickly. We see a citizen coming over here to prepare this one. But Kimo's victory here is fairly straightforward. Kill this town center, prevent the farms from being gathered from, and then there's no trade for Sirtok. And you can see now still 60 food, 60 gold for food, and there's two markets here, so you can just sell that food and make more units. But the town center will go down. These Arcus so very, very weak in this part of the game with, I think, no armor upgrades. He's got copper weapons, and that's it. Copper weapons against dragon scale shields. It's just not going to do it. And now Kimo pushes through, kills one town center, and he's going to be going for the final town center. That's exactly what he should be going for, the final town center, as Sirtok's still just spamming units into Kimo. And honestly, this is kind of the only way I saw this going well for Kimo, with Sirtok just continuously spamming Mermillo Arcus into the Rag Heroes. This game was in the bag for Sirtok, but Kimo does it again. He is one of the best players at coming back in games that we've seen here, and he manages to wipe the floor here with Sirtok with a desperation Ragnarok, which very, very easily could have been thwarted here from Sirtok with just 2 palace, 3 palace, and make fanatics. Stop making Arcus. Take those villages off of wood, put them onto farms. What was the farm upgrades he had? He's got flood control, so his food economy would have been huge. Could have just made pure infantry here, fanatic Mermillo, and I think he would have held this very, very easily and taken this win. But Kimo does manage to make the dragon scale shields Ragnarok here work. GG, thanks so much for the game here. Sirtok did post this one, or ask for this one to be cast, so that's nice for the poster to put in a game that they lost, because that normally is not the case. But if you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next game.